Hey everyone, it's Rob Ryder on Thursday, March 11th, 2021. Let's talk about Trumptown, elections and veteran services. And it's really important because is Trump a registered qualified elector of a municipality? Maybe he's trying to do mail-in voting this week, right? And well, is he an entitled veteran of the county? Because he, is commander-in-chief. And as I showed in my last video, right, that the county Department of Veterans Affairs, right, says in its legislation that it's for veterans and service members. So even if you're still in, if we're going to say he still is commander in chief, well, he can still sign up with the office in the county. Now, I had tried to do this since my last video, and when I got the paperwork back, because you're really signing a contract with two parties, which is good. I mean, it's a bilateral contract. Okay, let's do this thing. But when I got it back for me to sign, right, the entity I was signing with wasn't the county Veteran Service Office, right? The organization that was going to be representing me was a 501c3 out of Washington, D.C. Well, that isn't what it said to do. I mean, so anyways, that's all part for another video. I'm just saying these are the reasons I want to know about Trump, because the things I'm working on and have been working on, and it's a big deal if we're ever going to get this stuff figured out. So I'm Staff Sergeant Robert Allen Ritlewski, United States Army veteran, also known as Rob Ryder, and my email address is courtofrecord@aol.com. And as I said, I had done some videos here recently. I've done lots of videos. If this one's new to you, but if you went back to look at Trumptown's Maxine Waters' worst nightmare, you would see that, I was making a point that she had said she's worried about Trump taking over the small towns and cities and the state legislatures. Well, to do that, you have to be a registered, qualified elector of your municipality. And that's what you are supposed to be anyways. And that's what they're making sure that we're not. They're keeping us from registering in our municipality. And I had done this video here, Executive Order 12926, knowingly and willfully disobeyed. This particular executive order is part of a section, I think it's in Title 50, to do with the Voter Registration Act, saying they have to do what this act says, right? But they didn't do what the act says, because the act said to create these forms to be used for national voter registration, and the forms have never been created. And so we're not being registered properly into the proper municipality, and therefore you're not in the United States, right? So this is why we have all these problems. We're not in the United States. We're in, as far as I can tell, United States of America, which is a dominion of King George III under the Treaty of Paris 1783. It was one of the things he claimed was United States of America, without the T capitalized in the front. Now, the United States of America, well, that's under the Articles of Confederation. And, it's not the same as United States of America. Now, you look at a passport, it says United States of America on it. It's got your frickin' name backwards. But if you look at a dollar bill, it says the United States of America. Right? They're two different venues. It's pretty simple to see. So it's a big deal, and I'll talk more about it later. But this is what was going on then, and then just here this last week, there was a news article that Rosita sent me that said Trump had put in for his mail-in voting for municipal elections. So I started to do a little more digging, and what's leading to this video. But at the same time, I had just recently done a video on Veterans Rule the Nation, because in actuality, in every county, let's just say every county for now, right? There is a county veteran service officer, a CVSO, which would be different than just a VSO then, which is a veteran service officer. No, this is a county veteran service officer. And a county veteran service officer works for the county, right? He's an officer of the county. And he's supposed to be the one that you're contracting with to be a representative for the agent, which is the county. But instead, because they have us, just sign the papers without reading what's going on, we're signing up to go and have a 501c3 or some other entity be our representative, which is not the same as having the county be your agent. Right? And it's all part of a scheme, and I'm not blaming the veterans down at any veteran for this, right? I'm just trying to point it out, say, brothers and sisters, we have the power. It's in them frickin' offices. Right now, we just got to start using it. And if you have any problems, well, call the sheriff. So you can't enforce the law, right? You can't comply with the law because you're being blocked and have them, remove all your obstacles. Or call in the military. The sheriff won't do it. So that's kind of where we're at. And here in a bit, we're going to look at something that, where was that? Do I have it up here real quick? No. I don't have it up here. Anyways, just real quick on the Constitution. Right? If you were to go to the National Archives, you can find a Constitution of the United States. So this is the Constitution I'm talking about. If you tell me, what about some other Constitution, you're going to have to, other than the says Constitution of the United States, then you're going to have to show it to me. Right? And show me the part that I need to be concerned about that might be different. But what this says is, we the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote for general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. So the people of the United States, which is, the people that are under the United States of America, are writing a Constitution for the people of the United States of America. Saying, look, you want to live here? This is the rules. These right here. This is what we have to follow. Right? We agree to these rules. And we can live in peace and tranquility. Because not everybody wanted to leave the kingdom. A lot of people like, being subject to the king. And they're still here. They're called esquires. Right? Just the way it is. I mean, Rosita one time went into her township hall, and there's some old geezer there. She said he must be in his 80s, right? He'd been there for like ever, I guess. And she was, always going there asking questions and stuff. And he said to her one time, he says, you will never have your own money, and you will not have your own nation. Right? And then he left. And it's like, well, what the hell is that about? I mean, I know what it's about now, but it's just an interesting thing to have somebody tell you, because as you've seen with the system of the world today, it likes to put it in your face that shit's happening, right? They don't really hide it. But if you're not looking for it, you won't see it. But it's not hidden. They may not talk about it, but they'll write it down and show it to you. Anyways, in this Constitution, right, whenever it uses the word citizen, which is only used 11 times in the Constitution. Now, this isn't the Bill of Rights. This is the foundational document. Forget the Bill of Rights for a minute. If you can't get through the first number of articles, then there's no reason to have Bill of Rights. Right? Because the Bill of Rights is attached to this. So if this is invalid, then so is the Bill of Rights. Or if this isn't being followed, then neither is the Bill of Rights. Because this isn't invalid, it's just not being followed. Right? So anyways, let's just look. See, citizen of the United States. There's no citizen of the United States of America. Citizen of the United States. Citizen or citizen of the United States. Right? Got your citizen. So it's only used by itself, right, as citizen, or, gets used with citizen of the United States. So to be called a citizen of the United States, there's nothing wrong with that. Right? To be called a U.S. citizen, now that I don't agree with. Right? And I don't agree to be a citizen of the United States of America because that isn't what's in the Constitution. Right? I don't want to be in their jurisdiction. I don't want to be in the United States of America. That's where the Americans are. Right? But it's not where the citizens of the United States are. It's not the people who pledged allegiance to the flag. Right? And took an oath. Right? You took it to the United States, to the Constitution. And the Constitution is, to the United States. Or dealing with the United States. So, hey, for what that's worth. Okay, hang on just a second. Let me regroup for a second. All right, a little more generality stuff here. So this is just any county that I like the way they wrote it. So I'm using this one, but this is for a county in Florida where it says the Osceola County Veterans Service Office is Osceola County's local government office charged with acting as your veterans benefit advocates. We are county employees under direction of an accredited county veteran service officer, a CVSO. Right? That's an office in the United States, a county veteran service officer. That's who we're supposed to be dealing with. But that isn't who you'll be dealing with, if you just go and do what they tell you based on the piece of paper they're going to hand you. This is like having your representative in the government, right? Instead of having your representative in a private corporation and then trying to go to the government. And you're actually signing a contract, bilateral agreement between yourself and the government for them to be your agent and attorney. So, so as it turns out, Palm Beach County has a veteran service officer. And I'm saying, well, Trump, you need to go down there and sign up because, you don't have to be a veteran. You can be a service member. See right here says, our office is responsible for assisting disabled and needy war veterans, members of the U.S. Armed Forces and their dependents, well, that'd be service members, people serving today, and the widows and orphans of deceased veterans entitled to benefits under any state, federal, state, or local government rules. So, yeah, it's a big deal. Big deal. And, since I got my contract back and it had this 501c on there instead of the... Let me go find that name real quick. Hang on. Like I said, I'll do this much more in depth in my video that's specifically on this subject, but I'm just showing you that this is who they had as the organization I was contracting with, National Association of County Veteran Service Officers. Well, that's not the county, right? This thing is, if it exists, it's in Washington, D.C. So, how that ever happened, what were the fork-tongued words used and how they put the scheme together, I don't really know. But I do know that, there's a bunch of veterans in Kent County that have been made, a part of this that I'm sure they don't know it either. So my hope is to go back to them and have them get it fixed. And that's what my next video will be about. We get to that. So, but this other part then, what about elections? Let's just look real quick. So after the 2020 fraud claims, Donald Trump requests mail ballot for municipal elections. Okay, West Palm Beach, Florida. Set to fulfill a civic duty as a private citizen and vote in the lowercase town of Palm Beach's municipal election. Now, if you knew where Trump lived, he actually lives in what's called the town of Palm Beach, right? That's its name. It's not Palm Beach. It's called town of Palm Beach. When they say town like this, that's like a township, right? And so Palm Beach County has many townships. Not all of them have been incorporated into like the town of Palm Beach, right? So they're not going to have an election, but he should have. But the way they're showing you this is he's not voting in town of Palm Beach municipal election. The request was made nearly a week after the deadline to have the ballot to be sent by mail. Mail ballots can be requested through mail, but must be picked up. Yeah, okay, let's see. Mail Friday. What does it say here? Trump's ballot has not been recorded as counted by noon Monday. It has now. I got a copy of it. We'll take a look at it here in just a second. Former First Lady had not requested a mail ballot, and she went to the Morton and Barbara Mandrell Recreation Center. Okay. So hang on just a second. Okay, well that that article led to this article, a city by city, what you need to know for the 2021 Palm Beach County municipal elections. And it said in here, voters who live within the boundaries of the 19 municipalities, right from Tequesta to Boca Raton, can vote by mail or in person at their precinct between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Thursday, March 9th. Those who live in unincorporated Palm Beach County or the 20 other cities that do not have elections, or 20 other cities do not have elections to participate in. Right? So if Trump was going to be participating, he would be voting in the town of Palm Beach. And where is that thing here? Okay, so here's a sample ballot, right? Official municipal election ballot for the town of Palm Beach. It's got a precinct number on it. Right, so there's something about the precinct numbers that might have to be figured out, but it's for town of Palm Beach, town council, group 1. All right, so for the town of Palm Beach, there's one election between these two people here, which this isn't using their full legal name, but I don't believe it needs to be put on the ballot in their full legal name. You can run in a particular name, but you still have to give them your proper name when you fill out your paperwork to run. But it's a 2-page ballot, and the whole thing is blank, right? So that's all they're voting on is one office. Or they're actually, well, no, it says vote for one. So there you are. Now, okay, so now when Trump moved to Florida, right, he did a declaration of domicile. And I, Donald J. Trump, well, sorry, Donald John Trump, that ain't good enough. You're going to put the full legal name there or you ain't doing nothing, right? Because Donald J. Trump does not exist. But then, they want you to put your address. They got street and number, right? But we got, 1100 South Ocean Boulevard. Well, that's not street number. That's number and street. So is there a different number we're supposed to use? Because really, this is the mailing address number, right? Should it just be South Ocean Boulevard? That's the street, right? And some other number, like a lot number, which is really what it should be, with a lot number, right? And that becomes then your site address, or your service address. Or can, right? We're not quite done. And then here it says city and county. Well, this should say town of Palm Beach County, but it says Palm Beach. Well, Palm Beach isn't having an election. Town of Palm Beach is having an election. Right? So, there's, these are the errors and omissions that are put into documents when they say, here, fill out this document. When it should be, here, you fill out the document and, them with the proper information for me, because I don't know what my residence address is. You got residence address, site address, physical address, mailing address, situs address, property address, parcel address, on and on. And they got all sorts of addresses, right? And they never tell you which one it is. So you have a legal address, registration address, but no one will ever tell you what goes in those addresses. And when it says street and number, well, then this is wrong because this is number and street. So Donald J. Trump doesn't live anywhere. He's got nothing to do. His declaration of domicile is legally insufficient to prove that he's an elector living in the town of Palm Beach. So let's look at his information, right? You can go online and get this stuff. Right? What's his voter status? It says eligible to vote in Palm Beach County. It doesn't say he's eligible to vote in the town of Palm Beach. It says eligible to vote in Palm Beach County. And Palm Beach County isn't having any elections. So even though he filled out the paperwork and sent it in, it doesn't mean anything because he voted for something he doesn't have any authority to vote in. Right? County Palm Beach, a party affiliation, REP. Well, what is that? It's not like they don't have room to put Republican, right? What does REP stand for? And then you can see here they have his residence address as, abbreviated S Ocean Boulevard. But on the declaration he put in, he put the whole thing, South Ocean Boulevard. Well, that is what they did. So, there's just something fishy going on here. Ballot has been counted. Right, been counted disqualified because you were voting for something that you don't have the authority to vote for because you're only eligible to vote in Palm Beach County, not in the town of Palm Beach. So hang on. Okay, so I can't say this is for everywhere, right? But there's a lot of places now that have if they have a charter or ordinances, whatever, they're on this Municode site, right? This municode.com. So this is the one for town of Palm Beach, Florida. And, the reason that they'd like to do this is that way they're not responsible for the information, right? Because now they put it in a third party's hands. And, it relieves the local government of having any responsibility. But it's what we got to work with, right? So printed herein is the charter of lowercase the town of Palm Beach, County, Florida, as adapted by ordinance something in 1978. Okay, and it goes on, blah 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 blah. The town of Palm Beach, comma, Palm Beach County, comma, Florida, comma, was originally created under the laws of the state of Florida on April 17, 1911. The municipality continued to operate and function under special and general laws of Florida until a charter was granted by Chapter 7683, Special Acts, Laws of Florida, 1917, whereby a new municipality was created. The said original charter has been amended by numerous special acts and laws of the state of Florida. It'd be interesting to see that if somebody has a way to get that. I don't know if I ever did see that or not, right? This charter was granted by Chapter 7683, Special Acts, Laws of Florida, 1917. Right, since that day of the enactment or grant, original charter, many other state laws, special applications, town of Palm Beach were enacted by the legislature, were not form of a charter amendments, blah, blah, blah. So, hey, they made up this new charter, right? This is what it's coming down to. But it's in here, and then in here it has information on elections and so forth, right? So if it went over here, and so, okay, what about elections? But you did see it's called Town of Palm Beach, right? Just so we all realize that. We're talking about Town of Palm Beach now. Right? Qualification of electors. The qualification of electors in town elections, right? That'd be the municipality, shall be prescribed as by state law. And that gives this reference to some state law, Florida statute 166.032. All right. Let me go get that. Hang on. It's a little bit easier to see here, right? Section 34.2, qualification of electors. The qualification of electors in town elections shall be prescribed by state law. And it's Florida State 166.032. Well, that says electors. Any person who is a resident of a municipality who has qualified as an elector of the state and who registers in a manner prescribed by general law and ordinance of the municipality shall be a qualified elector of the municipality. So in other words, you need to be a registered qualified elector in the municipality, right? So that you can vote in these elections. And apparently Trump wasn't, because it didn't say that he was, that was the jurisdiction he was voting in. That's where it is. All right, Trump is voting as eligible to vote in Palm Beach County. Doesn't say anything about being eligible to vote in town of Palm Beach. Well, I think that's probably a problem. Okay, and then it goes on to say in Section 34-120, absentee voting. Absentee ballots may be cast in such elections as provided by law. The provisions of Federal Statutes Chapter 101 are hereby adopted and made part hereof, as if fully set out at length herein as a means of absentee voting in all municipal elections in the town. Okay, well, then you go look at this Florida chapter, right? Use of system by municipalities. The Board of County Commissioners, with concurrence of the Supervisor of Elections, may arrange the boundaries of the precincts in each municipality within the county to conform with the boundaries of the municipality, subject to concurrence of government body of the municipality. All binders, files, equipment, materials necessary for permanent registration system shall be furnished by the Board of County Commissioners. The permanent registration system. Well, where's that at? Any person who is duly registered elector pursuant to this code and who resides within the boundaries of a municipality is qualified to participate in all municipal elections. The provision of the special acts or local acts notwithstanding, electors who are not registered under the permanent registration system shall not be permitted to vote. Okay, so you got to, if you don't register under this permanent registration system, can't vote. Well, where's it at? Still haven't told us where to go to. Let's see. Identification required at polls. Is that the next one? Yeah, this is the next section. Well, it's not the next section, but it's in this section, section of law, which, hang on. So when it says the provisions of Florida Statutes Chapter 101 are hereby adopted and made part of as if fully set out at length herein, well, what can that mean? Well, when you go and look at the dang, the law, that means all of this just now became part of that one section without, having to say any of it. So in here, you got use of system by municipalities, instructions for electors, secret voting, identification required at the polls. Electors must be registered in precinct. Provisions of change of residence or name, provisional ballots, on and on and on. All this just became part of this, this one section of a city ordinance by simply referencing it in the description. So then in there, right, it goes on then in another section to say the precinct register as prescribed by this other section, 98.461, shall be used at the polls for the purpose of identifying an elector at the polls before allowing him or her to vote. The clerk or inspector shall require each elector, upon entering a polling place, to present one of the following current valid. And you got to give them a picture ID, basically. That's what it says to do. Here you have to give them a picture ID to vote in a local election. Okay. But then this said that this register is as prescribed by this, right? So now all of Section 98 has been just put into this same law because, all of this is building on top of each other. From one little sentence in the ordinance, all this state law just became part of the ordinance. And it goes on to say registration application, precinct register, and contents. The registration application approved by the Department of State containing the information required in another section shall be retained by the supervisor of elections of the county of the applicant's registration. Okay, so there's something, right? Who's the supervisor of elections of the county? That person's supposed to have your registration. However, the registration application may be microfilmed and such microfilm substituted for the original registration application. Yada, yada, yada. A little smoke and mirrors so we can hide what's going on. All of these things need to be on there. Your last name, first name, middle name or initial, suffix, party affiliation, residence address, registration number, registration number, registration number. Hey, you got to have a registration number. That's good to know. Right? On and on and on. All that stuff is in there. And then it says, this said, well, as required by this other section, which is the Uniform Statewide Voter Registration Application, which the department may prescribe by rule a uniform statewide voter application to use in this state. And then all these things need to be on there. Last, first, middle name. All right, didn't say anything about an initial. Middle name, including any suffix, date of birth, address of legal residence. Well, if it's legal, then somebody needs to tell me what it is, right? I don't have to guess what it is. Somebody got to tell me what it is. What's my legal residence? And then, what's the mailing address for that legal residence? Because I don't know if it's different. See, they want you to do this. They want you to just go ahead and fill these things out the way that you've been taught to do it, and you'll put yourself in the United States of America. You'll leave the republic and go to the democracy. All right, because the country is supposed to had been set up as was it a democracy within a republic? I think that was the proper term, right? So there's two different things, right? You got a democracy and a republic. I don't want to be in the democracy. I want to be in the republic. But because they put you in the United States of America, well, you're in the democracy, and they don't want to let you go. A county of legal residence. I don't know. Right? Who's supposed to know these things? Now, you would think a municipal attorney would, right? The city attorney would. Somebody like that would know who it is. And so that's my hope is, well, Trump's got much better access to attorneys than I do. And the military. Maybe they can twist an attorney's arm enough to have them tell us what we need to know. Last 4 digits Social Security number. Okay, here you go. Whether the applicant is a citizen of the United States by asking the question, are you a citizen of the United States of America? Well, if you say yes, then you're not a citizen of the United States. Right? Whether the applicant is a citizen of the United States by asking the question, are you a citizen of the United States of America? And providing boxes for the applicant to check or indicate whether the applicant is or is not a citizen of the United States. They couldn't just ask you, are you a citizen of the United States? Yes or no. No, they had to put in there, are you a citizen of the United States of America? Yes or no. And if you say yes to that, then by default, no, you're not a citizen of the United States then. Devious little fork-tongued bastards, aren't they? It's the Canaanites. It's just the way it is. Okay, hang on a second. A couple more things. Okay, so this is the form they use in Florida, and I haven't gone through it, compared it to the law yet to see if it's all proper, right? But here's the question. Are you a citizen of the United States of America? I say you have to say no, right? If you want to be a citizen of the United States, you'd have to put no there. Well, then it goes down, and you got to give them all this other information, and right here, address where you live. What's your legal residence? I don't know. But I know this. It has an apartment, lot, or unit number, right? And city, county, zip code. So it isn't just your street address, right? That, if you have a private residence, then you have a lot number assigned to that private residence. And it's certainly different than the number that's probably on your house that is used for mailing purposes. But I'll show you something else in a second that came as, let me go get it real quick. Hang on. One of the things, if you use the term legal residence, you could say, well, that's your service address, right, for legal service. So, what does it mean exactly? I don't know. That's why somebody needs to tell us. But to give you an example, this is in Austin, Texas, where it talked about a service address. So hang on. I thought I already had it pulled up. Oh. Yeah, now, this is under utilities, but the city shall provide utility service to a valid service address. Right? The city may refuse To provide utility service to a service address, the applicant owes money to the city. Okay. Service address required. A customer within the city limits must obtain a service address from the city manager. Well, then that isn't necessarily your mailing address, right? This is a different address. A customer shall post the customer service address in a place that is visible from the street. So, you think about this. Now, if this is supposed to be your legal service address and they're coming to look for you, they're looking to find, this number that's been given to you by the city manager visible from the street. Otherwise, that isn't necessarily you living in that house because it doesn't have your service address on it. That's the occupant, right? And you may be in the house as the occupant, but you're not showing your service address you got from the city manager visible to the street. Well, then you're out of compliance with with this section. But they call it a service address. Okay, now, like for electrical service then, if you wanted electrical service application, new service or upgrade, right? Your name, so forth, da-da-da, service address. Well, what do they say it is? They say it's your street address, a subdivision, and a lot number. Well, what they say is a complete and accurate service address is required before service may be installed. So I don't know how much of this information they actually need for the service address, but this is the street address, right? The service address is probably the subdivision and lot number. So, if you have a subdivision plot or whatever, right, that name there, whatever lot number you have, goes in here. That's your service address. But again, I don't know. So, I'm saying, well, then what we need to do is us stop trying to fill this shit out and take it to the frickin' city manager and say what needs to go in this box. The next thing is, this is for Rosita. She may go do this. We'll find out. Right? It says customer billing information. Well, I say you put the city's information in here. Don't put yours. Right? It's the city manager that's responsible for all these addresses and everything. Put him in here. He's the authorized representative. And see what they do with it. So that's what, for now, the biggest part was, well, here's the service address, right? Whether it has something to do with your street address or not, I'm not really sure. But it's got subdivision and lot. And so when it asks for street and number, right, could it just be the subdivision name? That's the street. And the number is the lot number? Well, somebody like Trump, he can get that stuff figured out. We have no power, authority. Nobody does anything for us. So he can call in the military. Maybe get us an answer. Now, I was looking at, this is the Consumer's Energy one for myself, right? Here they call it the site address, right? But still, it's got subdivision, development, and lot number. And it's bold, and the rest of it isn't bold, and that has to be for a reason. What the hell does all that mean? So what I'm trying to do now is get this information from Consumers Energy, because this would have gone to them at the beginning. Now, if you haven't watched my other videos on this subject, right? Consumers Energy does not have a franchise with my township, yet they're the ones whose meter is in my service. And actually, the meter is in the customer service, which means Consumers Energy is the customer of the utility, and they're acting like a middleman between me and the utility. But they're not giving me anything, right? The township gave a franchise to another company for they call it local electrical service. So, they basically, Consumers Energy stole my residence address. Because I believe, if you look at, this is the form they use for Michigan to get your driver's license, it's just like the thing for Trump, where they want street and number. Right? They're not asking for your mailing address, or the thing that you think is your mailing address. They want this street and number. And, again, according to right? This is the city of Austin, right? That a customer within the city must obtain a service address from the city manager. So if you live in a city, that's your first thing. You got to contact your city manager and say you need your service address. The city manager shall assign a service address to property with legal tract status as determined by Watershed Protection and Development Review Department. A meter location not serving residence or permanent place of business. Recognize an address in the city utility service area that is assigned to another city. Okay, so a property within legal tract status as determined by Watershed Protection and Development Review Department. Now that has going to have something to do with their soil conservation district, which, you know, I talked about them here just recently too, that they're in this, come on, this body politic, right? That they have these things called conservation districts. So mine's the Kent County Conservation District, although they call themselves the Kent Conservation District, but it's really the Kent County Conservation District, and it's actually a local government, right? It's a form of local government. So when I go and look online and I look up the information, you know, all of it ties into the United States through the Department of Agriculture. Right? It doesn't really go through the state. It goes to the Department of Agriculture from that office. So yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of strange stuff that's going on, right? And but it's all local. Like if you're waiting for them to fix it in D.C., you're going to be waiting a long time. There's nobody there. Just look around. The place is empty. Right? Trump said when he was inaugurated that he had turned the country back over to the people. Well, we're going to get that by getting into the local municipalities as registered qualified electors of the municipality. And to do that, you have to have an address in the municipality so you can be a registered qualified elector of the municipality. And as long as they keep us from doing that, we're not in the United States. We're in the United States of America, which is under Old Testament law, right? It's ruled by judges. So that's the way it looks to me, at least. And okay, let me stop for a second, see if I had anything else to talk about, and we'll wrap this thing up. Hang on. Yeah, really, I mean, so in closing, I showed all that stuff just to kind of follow the path where it came from and so forth. But, you know, we need to do something with this and quit waiting for something to happen. So if you live in a city, right, that has a muni code, please go look at it under the elections and find the part where it says qualification of electors, right? That part right there. And then take that to the city manager and say, what does this mean and how do I qualify? And tell him or her you're expecting them to qualify you into the office, right? Because really that's what you get. This is the office of elector, right? It's the highest office in the freaking nation. So the qualification of electors in the town election shall be as prescribed by state law. Okay, well then what are they? I don't need to know that. Either the city manager needs to get an answer from their city attorney, or he already knows what it is. But don't fill out anything that has to do with, you know, you putting in an address or anything unless they tell you what it is, right? Well, what address goes there? You know, because you can't do this, right? Street and number and put your mailing address or what you think is your mailing address, right? Because it said street and number, city and county. And Palm Beach isn't a city that's having any municipal elections, but town of Palm Beach is. And unfortunately, that isn't where Trump put himself. Right, here's Palm Beach County, Florida. Let's just real quick. I want to look at that name one more time. It was up here in the, right, what did it start as? Right? Historical. So they say it's the town of Palm Beach, County, Florida. Well, that's almost, exactly what would have gone in here if it had been filled out properly. Right? Town of Palm Beach, County, Florida. That line would have been proper. All you're missing then is the street and the number. And whether it's South Ocean Boulevard or some other name of the street depends on what your site address is. That's my guess, right? Because that's the thing that's tied to the utility. The utilities are the common carrier, right? The common carrier is in the common law. It's in the right of way. This is all common law, right? When you get down to the common carriers. And so what does the common carrier street and number need to be? For where you're getting service, right? AKA legal service. They want your legal address. Said so right here. Legal address, no PO, right? Then they want your apartment, lot, or unit number. Okay, I beat that horse to death, and I'm going to leave it there, and you all have a nice day. I'm sure I'll be back again. We'll see you. Oh, Lord willing, of course. Thank you, Jesus. Bye-bye.